massive fire in Saskatoon's Hampton neighborhood. Multiple homes go up in flames, forcing residents to flee. The province on wildfire response. What resources are being sent to the front lines? And the Prairie Lily docked for now. When could water flows allow the river cruise to once again set sail?
This is CTV News with Chantel Saunders.
This was the scene this afternoon in the Hampton Village neighborhood. Thick black smoke and intense flames as several homes burned to the ground. Dozens of firefighters spending the day battling the massive fire. Good evening. Firefighters from across the city were called in to help in Hampton Village. While some crews fought the flames, others moved in to protect neighboring houses from going up in flames. As Keenan Sorokan tells us, the fire and the loss is something Saskatoon hasn't seen in quite a while.
Catastrophic scenes from Geary Crescent as a fire tore through the street with families watching on as their homes burned to the ground.
Pretty shocked, pretty sad to see your house where you live, your family live, all of your belongings, and, you have so much attachment just on fire. It's devastating.
Mohit Nair watched on as his home he's lived in since 2012 vanished in front of his eyes. It was one of 4 homes and 6 garages that quickly burned, with the first 911 call coming in just after noon. No one was harmed, with all residents of the homes and nearby homes safely evacuated. Deputy Fire Chief Sean Thody says it's been a long time since Saskatoon has seen a fire this destructive.
This is a devastating loss for these families. 4 houses, it's never a good thing. Our hearts go out to the families that have lost the properties and their homes.
32 firefighters were called to the scene, and an additional 16 moved in to assist the 8 trucks fighting the blaze that jumped across the street, damaging 3 more homes and briefly starting another one on fire. At one point, power boxes in the alley behind the homes were also seen sparking. As the fire department threw everything it could into the fight, Thody says Friday's conditions were ideal for something like this to happen.
Wind speeds being 30 kilometers an hour and above, temperatures being above 30 degrees Celsius, and the humidity, 30% relative humidity or below, and those are the perfect conditions for fire to breed.
Residents watching TV or doing yard work suddenly saw plumes of black smoke shoot to the sky, worried for neighbors who work night shifts as people inside the homes ran outside. With everything lost in the flames, Nair was worried about where his family will sleep and how this will impact them.
My son, he's still at school, so he doesn't know anything about that, and I have to go pick him up and break the news to him.
The fire department says 4 homes and 6 garages are complete losses, with 2 homes next to them taking extreme damage. No cause has been found yet, with heat and carbon monoxide making it unsafe for investigators to access the homes. As questions emerge about how this could happen, residents are first trying to wrap their heads around the devastation they witnessed here today. Keenan Sorokan, CTV News, Saskatoon.
As investigators work to understand what caused the fire, nearby neighbors rushed out of their homes, fearing the flames could spread. CTV's Laura Woodward has that story.
This is the view from Abdul Wahab's backyard Friday afternoon. His neighbor's house and vehicle destroyed. Wahab was asleep in the basement after working a night shift as an Uber driver when his wife woke him up.
She called me, says, Abdul, please run away.
He woke up to the smell of smoke and flames shooting from his neighbors' homes.
And when I saw the one house, 2, 3, 4 is fire because for the wind, it was out of control. Then I take my families, drop off to my other family.
The heat was so intense it melted the siding on his house. Suzette Tantano rushed home after hearing about the fire, relieved her 2 cats were safe.
It's sad to see those houses burnt, but it's a relief too. Like, it's not my house, but still, this is sad.
And as the cleanup and insurance claims begin, homeowners here say this is a close-knit community, one that helps each other, supporting one another through the tragedy. Laura Woodward, CTV News, Saskatoon.
Another investigation is underway following a house fire in the Sutherland neighborhood. Firefighters were called to the 1500 block of Central Avenue last night just after 10 o'clock. They arrived to find flames and smoke coming from the home. The fire department says crews had a difficult time getting into the house because it was full of contents. Everyone who was inside at the time managed to escape safely. No one was injured. The cause and damage estimates are being investigated. A major fire ban is now in effect across much of central and southern Saskatchewan as extreme fire danger continues to drive wildfire concerns across the province. Connor Chan has the latest on the precautions in place and the resources available to help.
The fast-moving lobstick fire near Duck Lake has now triggered a major fire ban across central and southern Saskatchewan. The Saskatchewan Public Safety Agency announcing the province-wide restriction this afternoon, citing what officials are calling extreme fire risk conditions. The ban covers all Crown land south of a series of northern highways stretching from Highway 55 at the Alberta border near Pierceland to Highway 106 at the Manitoba border near Creighton and Flin Flon. Most of the province is now under extreme fire danger. As of late Friday afternoon, more than 50 rural municipalities across Saskatchewan have fire bans in place, along with 6 active wildfires, including the Lobstick Fire and the Cayford Fire north of Hudson Bay. Neither of those are currently contained. The Frobisher Fire north of Buffalo Narrows is classified as protecting values, which means the fire is active and crews are focused on protecting cabins and infrastructure in the area. 2 other fires are considered contained and another is under ongoing assessment. The Lobstick Fire now covers 13,000 hectares, has led to evacuations in the RM of Duck Lake, and has damaged 2 structures which officials say were outbuildings. Despite early speculation that the Lobstick Fire was human-caused, officials now say it's believed to have been started by lightning. Anyone who spots a wildfire can call 1-800-667-9660, 911, or their nearest SPSA Forest Protection Office. Connor Chan, CTV News, Regina.
Saskatoon and Prince Albert are among the 23 Saskatchewan communities that broke heat records yesterday. The hottest spot in the province was in the Nipawin area at 37.5. Saskatoon reached 36.1 degrees, up from 33.9 set in 1936. Prince Albert's new record is 35.6, surpassing the record set in 1936 of 33.9. Several other communities reached just over 36 degrees. Well, Jeff, with the heat and the fire situation, we could definitely use some relief.
And the relief is going to be showing up in the form of rain, Chantel. Now, some places are going to be getting a lot of rain, other places not so much, because there's a north-south line that we're anticipating coming into the province. A few rounds of rainfall, but as I mentioned, right now we can't really put a hard number on how much rain is going to fall. The other good news is that in most locations, not all, once again, not all locations, the winds are going to start dying down. So we're getting some rain, and it looks like we're going to be getting a bit of a break from the 30-degree temperatures that we've been experiencing through the rest of the week. So we're going to keep our eye on particularly this system that's brewing up and moving up from Montana into Alberta and Saskatchewan. Alberta is expecting a lot more rain than Saskatchewan, but still a rainy situation for Saskatchewan and Alberta. We'll have more details for you later on.
The Prairie Lily's return to service has hit another snag. Saskatoon's iconic riverboat has canceled excursions into next week after water levels significantly dropped. CTV's Stacey Hine has that story.
Just days after its first cruises under new ownership, Saskatoon's Prairie Lily is once again left high and dry.
I think we were our 8th cruise under our belt when coming back in was really treacherous. So then we had to cancel everything.
Stephanie Simoneau says she was caught off guard when the Water Security Agency reduced flows from Gardner Dam, causing river levels to drop rapidly and creating unsafe conditions for the boat to operate, leading to cruise cancellations and a suspension on ticket sales until June 18th or until conditions improve.
The public has been so supportive, but I feel embarrassed that we started something and had this ball rolling and then we had to peel back and stop.
The boat's senior captain and former owner Mike Stekan says passengers were on board when he noticed the sudden drop in water levels, adding the boat could have been stuck in the middle of the river had water levels fallen further.
It's a little unnerving when you've got a load of passengers on a 100-ton ship and all of a sudden the water starts disappearing.
Last year, the riverboat was docked for the entire season. Stekan says a river flush is needed and is once again calling on the Water Security Agency to release more water from Lake Diefenbaker. In a statement, the WSA says it's expecting higher than normal runoff into Lake Diefenbaker sometime in June. It says outflows from Gardner Dam were reduced last week as part of its operating plan, and that flows are now being increased. The agency adds real-time flow information is available on its website. Meanwhile, Simoneau says she hopes the issue sparks more discussion.
So if people could get a hold of their MLA, speak about it, and this is not natural, and this is something that shouldn't be happening.
She says there's still uncertainty, and she's being cautious about when to reopen bookings. Stacey Hine, CTV News, Saskatoon.
Premier Scott Moe believes a new trade deal with India would benefit Saskatchewan despite tariffs. Moe made the comment in Regina while attending an India Leaders Summit. As Wayne Mantika tells us, the Premier says the province can work around the tariff issue.
It was an important summit between the Premier and India trade representatives. There was talk about improving relationships between the two countries.
You know, we've had some starts and some stops, but it very much seems like this is the moment where we're actually going to get a trade deal and a comprehensive trade deal, which will be a huge boon to businesses in terms of injecting confidence and momentum between the two countries.
Last year, India imposed a 30% levy on all imported yellow peas and a 10% duty on lentils. Half of those imports come from Canada. A new trade deal between Canada and India is possible this year, even if the tariff issue isn't fully resolved.
Whether they're in the actual trade deal or not, it would be preferable if they are. However, it's not a showstopper if they're not.
The Premier also gave attention to free trade with the U.S. and Mexico as CUSMA negotiations are about to begin. He held a meeting with undisclosed business leaders to discuss issues that need to be pursued.
Anyone that wants to participate, we encourage them to participate. We'll have in-person, virtual options. And what we're really looking for is a collection of, thoughts and ideas, really on how do we protect the investment and the wealth that's being generated today in industries.
Saskatchewan won't be directly involved in CUSMA talks. Those are handled by the federal government, although the province's input will be a consideration. Wayne Mantika, CTV News, Regina.
Amnesty International Canada has announced it will argue before the Supreme Court in the Saskatchewan school pronoun law case. Premier Moe says his government is working to ensure information about kids is shared with their parents.
That's fine. I mean, they're an international organization. They're, I suppose, okay to, or it's within their realm to intervene in this case, as others will on both sides. However, at the end of the day, we're going to ensure as a province and in our provincial education system that schools are going to communicate with parents about, multiple different topics with respect to their children that are the students at those schools.
The policy prevents children under 16 years of age from changing their names or pronouns at school without parental consent. There are 22 organizations who have been granted intervener status. A date for the Supreme Court hearing has not been set. We are getting a look at a plane that crashed into a lake earlier this week in northern Saskatchewan. A viewer sent us this video of a small plane in Nabibin Lake on Tuesday afternoon. RCMP say they were called at about 2:30 that afternoon to assist. The pilot and only person on the plane was assessed by paramedics at the scene and did not report any injuries. No nearby structures were damaged. Transport Canada was notified. Saskatoon is getting ready to celebrate Indigenous History Month. People gathered in Civic Square in celebration with drumming and dancing. National Indigenous History Month is celebrated in June, which includes National Indigenous Peoples Day on June 21st. A flag-raising ceremony was part of today's celebration. Residential school survivors, elders, and local dignitaries were at today's flag-raising to share their stories and mark the importance of honoring First Nations, Inuit, and Métis heritage.
Each of us has a role to play in reconciliation. Whether that your contribution is big or small, every action matters as we continue this work together for today, tomorrow, and future generations. Hand in hand, we will walk the talk.
This year's Rock Your Roots Walk for Reconciliation is scheduled for Friday, June 19th, starting at Victoria Park. A former Saskatoon fire chief has died. Brian Bentley became fire chief in 2003 after being with the service for 2 decades and also serving as an assistant fire chief. He retired in 2014 and spent some time volunteering with the Fireside Singers. Brian Bentley died on Monday at the age of 73. His obituary says he died suddenly following a battle with heart disease. Hundreds of student athletes from around central Saskatchewan gathered at Edie Fian Catholic School for the 49th annual GSCS Olympics. The all-day track event features athletes ranging in age and ability from 14 years to adults. About 260 participants coming from as far away as Blaine Lake, Humboldt, Waldheim, Hepburn, Hague, Martinsville, and Warman. Helping run the events and create a fun atmosphere are the students and staff at Edie Fian.
Today is to celebrate all the talents and gifts that individuals with intensive needs have within our community. Every student in our school also helps to run the events, create an inclusive environment, communication, hanging out, just teens being teens.
Local participants also came from Saskatoon Catholic and Public High Schools, Cosmo Industries, Saskabilities, and Saskatchewan Alternative Initiatives. A Regina band that aims to be inclusive is growing in popularity. McFavel on their goal to ensure everyone who sees them perform feels welcome.
Side by Side, a band based on inclusivity, is rehearsing for their next performance. The longtime Regina outfit brings members together to explore music, create a sense of belonging, and a unique sound. Those in the band say it's been a life-changing experience and an opportunity to enjoy music with others.
It felt pretty cool. When I heard there was an opportunity, I said, let's go take it. It helped me work on my confidence after I retired from band and choir.
Originally known as the Best Buddies Blues Band, the group was formed for high school students more than 20 years ago. Chris Hamilton is the director and says no matter the circumstances, there is a place for everyone in the band.
Accept people for who they are and what they have to offer. Don't focus on their disability, but focus on their abilities, because everyone has them. It's just finding a way to let their little light shine.
Side by Side plays 3-chord-based songs, an arrangement used in some of the world's most catchiest music, and a system perfect for beginners. Kobe Nargang sings vocals in the band, performing a classic made famous by Elvis Presley. Nargang has been a part of the band for over a decade and says it's been a fun and positive time.
The whole family and friend atmosphere is one of the greatest experiences in the world, especially if you're a shy or introverted person who's been bullied or, picked on or something. These people are they're so encouraging.
Hamilton says music has been a significant part of his life, and inclusion is a key to happiness.
Everyone sort of gets it, that once you're included and accepted for what talents you can bring, go ahead, shake something, hit something, sing something, and you're part of the band, you're included, and it's pure joy.
Side by Side will be taking some time off, but will regroup in the fall with some big plans, including a new recording. Mick Favel, CTV News, Regina.
The Snowbirds Alumni Association has launched a campaign to keep the team in the air and push beyond a planned pause. Alumni say the only way to ensure the survivability of the Snowbirds is to keep the team flying with their CT-114 Tudor jets past the end of the 2026 season. Instead of grounding the jets as currently planned, the group wants to see the Tudor fleet in the air until 2030 by, in part, using fewer aircraft. The alumni say it would help ensure a smoother transition to the new planes when the time comes. Still to come, an Ontario man accused of assisting people in their suicides has entered a plea. Also, an explosive start to a rocket test. You're watching CTV News live from downtown Saskatoon. Thanks for staying with us. An Ontario man at the heart of an international murder investigation has pleaded guilty to 14 charges of aiding and abetting suicide. As a result, murder charges against Kenneth Law were withdrawn. Law was accused of selling deadly substances online to people at risk of self-harm, some of whom took their own lives. John Woodward has been following this case and has the latest.
Yeah, today is heavy, for sure.
Heavy for Kim Prosser, the mother of Ashton Prosser Blake, who was headed to university in Toronto before he died by suicide at 19 years old.
I carry forward his legacy in my heart and my soul.
Prosser, among dozens of families coming to Newmarket Courthouse to hear the guilty plea of Kenneth Law, who arrived in an OPP transport truck as media from around the world watched. Law was a trained engineer and former chef at an upscale Toronto hotel, but he also had a side business selling a meat preservative that in high doses is deadly, a product he marketed under a pseudonym on websites aimed at suicidal people. CTV News has tracked 150 deaths around the world tied to those products, the youngest just 16 years old. Court heard his income from the sales neared $300,000 using sales and payment platforms of Shopify and PayPal, the most recent death in January.
Para prevenir más muertes.
The father of an 18-year-old who died, Yesenia Bedoya Lopez, said he hopes the judge sends a message to stop anyone considering selling the product. Thanks to his guilty pleas, Law avoids a murder conviction and won't do life in prison. It emerged that British authorities won't charge him there either. Some of these suicide websites marketed Law's products as a painless way to die, but the facts read out in court show that that is not true. Some of the people called 911 complaining of pain and vomiting, wishing that they had not taken the substance and didn't want to die, but by the time they had consumed the product, it was too late.
I walk with him in my heart in everything that I do. My passion, my drive, my everything is walking with my son.
Prosser is not pushing for a stiff sentence, just hoping that the trauma Law's actions caused can stop. John Woodward, CTV News.
China's Foreign Affairs Minister is in Ottawa today, beginning a 3-day visit that includes meetings with Prime Minister Carney and Foreign Affairs Minister Anita Anand. It's the first visit of its kind in a decade and has already sparked protests on Parliament Hill. CTV's Abigail Beeman now on what the visit means for Canada's foreign policy.
China's foreign minister welcomed by the Prime Minister as well as his Canadian counterpart Anita Anand. Wang Yi spoke of record-high engagement with Anand and a relationship between the two nations that has turned around, now growing and improving with major economic and trade concerns, as he says, properly addressed.
We are committed to growing this relationship responsibly with a goal of increasing exports to China by 50% by 2030, while safeguarding Canada's economic and national security interests and values.
There would need to be some clarity about what are those guardrails, what kind of investment from China is welcome in what sectors, and where we would actually continue to hold the red line.
The opposition leader asked if he believed Mark Carney would raise issues of human rights abuses.
Of course not. He won't do anything to make Beijing unhappy.
A former Canadian diplomat in Beijing who has met Wang Yi more than once over the decades believes human rights will be discussed and that China is likely to raise Taiwan.
We do have to reflect our values in these discussions. And from my experience, particularly behind closed doors, it's possible, necessary in my view, to speak frankly to Chinese leaders about our own concerns. And I guarantee you they will speak frankly about theirs.
The Prime Minister heads back to China for the second time later this year for the APEC summit, while this visit by the Foreign Minister could set the stage for a visit to Canada by China's President Xi. China watchers say to look towards the end of this year when the president already has plans to visit the United States. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Ottawa.
A Blue Origin rocket exploded in spectacular fashion during a test at a launch pad in Florida. Blue Origin says its New Glenn rocket exploded during an engine firing test, sending a massive fireball into the sky. This all happened ahead of a satellite launch planned for next week. Officials say no one was injured in the incident. Blue Origin owner Jeff Bezos says it's too early to know the cause of the explosion. All right, Jeff, some relief is coming in the form of rain.
Yes, rain is certainly there now. The double-edged sword is that with this kind of conditions that we've had lately, the possibility of some thunderstorms is still there. But right now, we're going to count on the rain to hopefully, create, give us a bit more in the way of relief in terms of moisture, because things are parched, to be sure, and we certainly seen the nasty effects of that earlier today in Saskatoon. 32 degrees right now in Saskatoon and the Battlefords, 30 in Prince Albert, and as you can see, really quite windy still, especially here in Saskatoon. The sustained winds at 35 and wind gusts stronger than that, so still a dangerous situation in some respects. 32 is our high today. That's well above the seasonal average of 21. The record warm temperature on this date, it did not fall. That was set in 1986, 35 degrees. And for the third day in a row, the cold temperature record is from the year 1947. That's -5 degrees. The sun is going to go down at 9:15.
Coming up, fan frenzy. What had people lining up outside a Saskatchewan hardware store?
Sweet sport with a sour name. Monday on Your Morning, we're sending Janelle over to try her hand at pickleball as it continues to explode in popularity here.
All right, now keeping our eye on this situation north of Saskatoon. We're not sure exactly. We haven't heard any official word on it, but it certainly looks like a smoky situation. So we'll keep our eye on that as we gaze at it through the live lens of Skycam. Not much in the way of active weather right now. No thunderstorm clouds or dark clouds forming, but that could change because we are keeping our eye on this system that is gathering steam in Montana, making its way into northern Saskatchewan. We do anticipate a trough line, a sort of north-south line, and a lot of active weather along that. We really expect the bulk of the really active weather to be in Alberta. Places like Edmonton and other parts of Alberta could see up to 100 millimeters of rain, depending on where you are. So certainly a rainy situation in that respect. Just to recap, we have a temperature of 32 degrees and strong winds in Saskatoon, 30 in Prince Albert, and still pretty windy, and 32 degrees in the Battlefords, winds from the south-southeast at 22 kilometers an hour. The hot spot in province, that was Sandy Bay at 35 degrees. The cold spot in the province, Collins Bay at 7 on the plus side. Around the province we go, starting in Lloydminster where it's 26 degrees. The same is true of Yorkton and Estevan, 30 in Swift Current, 31 in Moose Jaw, and 29 in the Queen City. Into central parts of our province, temperatures ranging from 29 degrees in a few communities up to 33, and that is in Kindersley. It's 32 in Rosetown, 31 in Nipawin, 30 in Waskesiu right now up north. 21 degrees in Collins Bay, 32 in Key Lake, 30 in Buffalo Narrows, 28 in La Ronge, and 32 as well in Sandy Bay and South End. So some very warm temperatures in northern Saskatchewan. It's still pretty roasty and toasty in southern Saskatchewan. 33 degrees in Outlook, 29 in East End, 31 in Coronach, 27 in Carlisle, and 26 in Melville and in Broadview. And now on to our futurecast. So here's what I'm talking about in terms of that north-south line starting to shape up a little bit as we make our way into the evening hours, sort of snakes through the province, and then so as we make our way into tomorrow afternoon, there's that line. But really what concerns us is that much larger situation in Montana brewing up and making its way northward. So we will keep our eye on all that. Some severe thunderstorm warnings are in effect. There's a number of watches in effect. Of course, there's all these heat warnings, but there are a number of watches in effect. But certainly, as you can see, just sort of north of the Battlefords and west of Prince Albert, we do have some severe thunderstorm warnings in effect. 27 degrees for La Ronge, 28 for Stony Rapids, 22 in Buffalo Narrows, and 29 in Key Lake with a chance of showers and thunderstorms. The same is true of Kindersley and the Spiritwood and Rosetown. Kindersley cloudy and 24 for tomorrow. Temperatures staying in the low to high 20s in the southwest. Outlook and Swift Current could see some showers and a risk of a thunderstorm. Slight chance of showers in Estevan, 24 as well in Regina, 27 in Moose Jaw, 26 6 in Yorkton, and temperatures hovering around 28 degrees in east central Saskatchewan with mainly cloudy skies. Dropping down to 16 degrees with a slight chance of showers and a risk of a thunderstorm in the Battlefords, but about 5 to 10 millimeters of rain expected tomorrow with a risk of a thunderstorm, and then there's still showers expected right through to Wednesday, although the greatest chance looks like it's going to be Monday, and temperatures cool off, but they do bounce back at the end of the work week. For Prince Albert, slight chance of showers, 20 degrees, 30 degrees tomorrow for a high. There's some smoke from fires south of Prince Albert making their way into the area. 28 degrees on Sunday, and then an unsettled start to the month of June. And finally for Saskatoon, a possibility of some showers and windy conditions and a risk of a thunderstorm. 28 degrees tomorrow with less windy conditions. And then as we take a look at the long-range forecast, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, yes, unsettled conditions to start the month of June. 18 on Thursday, and 1 week from today, back to above seasonal temperatures.
Rolling with the punches.
Bryan Adams will be headlining a countdown concert in Toronto ahead of the FIFA World Cup. On Wednesday, June 10th, there will be concerts happening at the same time in Canada, Mexico, and the US of A ahead of the opening match of the tournament on June 11th. Bryan Adams and Wyclef Jean are among the artists to perform on the FIFA Fan Festival grounds at Fort York and the Bentway. Tickets for the event went on sale at 10 a.m. earlier today.
It's like a maze. It just goes on and on. Sometimes I'm scared I'll get lost.
Eek! A story based on an online urban legend is making its way to the big screen this weekend. It's been a few years since an internet forum spawned the idea of the back rooms, imagining a collection of empty rooms where something is spooky and it's afoot. A24's movie version will be looking to knock Star Wars, The Mandalorian, and Grogu into second place, unlikely, while horror title Obsession aims to hold onto its own spot on the podium.
All right, so tonight we can do the men's short form figure skating? Or?
My buddy Joe's in that program. We train together. What do you guys
A highly coveted piece of clothing that appears in the show Heated Rivalry will go on sale next week. The Team Canada fleece worn by Hudson Williams as Shane Hollander in the Romance series has been popular among fans. Today, retailer Province of Canada confirmed pre-sales of the item will start online next week. 10% of the proceeds will go to You Can Play, an organization aimed at addressing homophobia and other forms of discrimination in hockey. Heated Rivalry is produced by Crave, CTV's Bell Media partner.
All right, Jeff, time for Pick of the Day, and we have a bit of a variety.
We really do. We're going to start off with this one. And this is sort of, you know, sadly ironic in some respects. Hi, Jeff, but that particular message is etched in ashes. Wendy sends us this picture and says, hi, Jeff, smoky skies yesterday resulted in ashes on my patio table. So we hope that's not the case today, and we hope everybody's staying safe with these wildfires. Next one comes to us from Jan. This one came in today, wishing our parents a happy 71st wedding anniversary, which was May 28th. This is John and Minnie Choman. They live in North Battleford. Love from all their family. And of course, we certainly wish the Chomans a happy anniversary as well. And finally, from Linda. By the way, this is an early birthday wish for May 31st, I might add. Linda writes, we want to wish Vicky Ballin a very happy 90th birthday. We wish you lots of joy and love on your birthday celebration. Love Brenda, Linda, Donna, and your families. And of course, we would like to add our best wishes to Linda as well. So to Vicky, rather. So happy birthday, Vicky. And if you'd like to share an image with us, you can do so by sending it to cfqcnews@ctv.ca. Please put Pick of the Day in the subject line. There you go.
Still to come on CTV News, a WWE star pays a visit to a Saskatchewan community. What had fans lining up in the heat to meet the celebrity? A towering figure in the world of combat sports made a rare appearance in southern Saskatchewan last night. Damian Smith has the story.
Everybody in? Thumbs up, guys. The Beast is here promoting his new product, Brock's Smoking Bullets. Longtime pro wrestler star Brock Lesnar holding a rare public meet and greet in Emerald Park on Thursday.
I was like, there's no way this is real.
Hundreds of fans braving the heat, lining up around the corner of Emerald Park Home Hardware.
I did not expect him to come and do like a meet and greet in like somewhere small like Saskatchewan.
I got my Brock Lesnar figure and I got my shirt.
Home Hardware's minimum estimate is around 800 fans lining up to meet the Beast incarnate, some of them traveling from far and wide. Wrestling fans Zorgale Bellino and Matt Murrin traveled from Portland, Oregon after finding out about the event on Facebook.
And at first we thought, is this real? Because it's so unusual. It's like, we need to verify this. Okay, it's good. Can we go? We'll make it work. Let's go.
Look at the man. Look at the man. And he doesn't do a lot of public appearances, like at all.
Meanwhile, Regina area fans making changes to their schedules, taking kids out of school early. One fan even looking to get a tattoo of Lester's autograph.
When I first went up there, I was pretty shocked. My exact first words were, "You're massive," but he took that really kindly.
As soon as I went up to him, he grabbed my hand and we did a bro hug and the whole works.
Lesnar was born and raised in South Dakota, but has spent the past decade living outside of the village of Merrifield, Saskatchewan. When he's not competing in the ring, he's typically found on his farm, out of the public spotlight.
The legend of Brock Lesnar has always been that he's not a people person and likes to have his own space, and he likes to distance himself from society. I think people, started to catch on that he's now living in the middle of nowhere, Saskatchewan, so he can distance himself from the rest of the world, and there's no better place to do it than there.
According to Emerald Park Home Hardware, since October, around 50% of their smoking pellet sales have been Brock's Smoking Bullets, a sure sign that Suplex City might be in Saskatchewan. Damian Smith, CTV News, Regina.
When we come back, how the riders are leaving training camp, and later why all eyes are on a cat calling Saskatchewan home.
Okay, it's time to check in our rural forecast for tomorrow. So Saturday is shaping up to be another warm day, not as hot as it was today. And there's also a greater chance of some showers or thunderstorms as we roll into Saturday. As you can see, Spiritwood and Outlook, possibility of some showers and a risk of a thunderstorm. Not expecting that in Lloydminster and Kindersley, where we're expecting highs of 24 degrees. 28, another hot day in Hudson Bay as we make our way over to the eastern side of the province. 26 degrees for Wynyard down south. 23 in Carlisle and Broadview, 26 in Kenora, but a lot more active weather in southern Saskatchewan, particularly along the border areas. As we mentioned, there's that system as it makes its way up from Montana into our southern parts of our province. Buchanan, looking at partly or mainly cloudy skies tomorrow, 26 degrees, and it's going to be another windy day in Buchanan and area. Winds out of the southeast, 30 gusting to 50. And Buchanan is one of those communities where internet plans of up to 1 gig are available from SaskTel.
Today was the last day for Riders training camp. Now the coaching staff has the task of setting the team's roster for the upcoming season.
There's debate, and there should be. If there's never any debate, then that means, that we didn't have good players. Like what I know that we did, bring in a bunch of good guys that are pushing, multiple positions and multiple spots in the roster.
Head coach Corey Mace joked players like Trevor Harris and Roland Milligan Jr. can expect to have roster spots secured already, but a number of positions still have question marks. Donovan Mace explains.
Winnipeg brings pressure. Harris sees it, but he throws it complete. Johnson to the 40.
Turning 40 on Sunday and now entering his 14th CFL season, Trevor Harris hasn't missed a beat.
Trying to evaluate myself every year. I feel like I'm in as good a place as I've ever been at this point in the season.
His QB1 spot is all but locked up. Tommy Stevens is getting ready for another season of short yardage, but a battle brews between Jack Cohn and Braden Shager to be the backup.
I had a lot of growth throughout camp, made some mistakes, but I feel like I learned a lot.
This was the initial goals, to try to put myself in a position to, be able to make the team.
4 different quarterbacks who each bring their own flavor to the field.
Jack's been here for 2 years. This is his 3rd season. He's gotten better every single day. He works really hard. He puts in all the time. He operates the offense and understands why the offense and what the plays are.
Shagger, he's a firecracker. Live arm, super competitive. So yeah, man, they're all different. They all have a bunch of positives that you admire.
Cone back to pass, has a man, has a touchdown.
Cone spending much of last season 4th on the depth chart behind Jake Mayer, hopeful to take the next step.
No matter who it is, old guy or young guy, you can learn something from everyone. I mean, Braden might be the way he just lets the ball rip and seeing okay, he tried that throw, maybe I could try that throw.
But after arriving in Saskatchewan last September,
back to pass, looks, end zone, touchdown!
Jagger making an early impression this preseason.
That's something that really gave me a head start coming into the camps on the other rookies, just as far as having a good grasp of the playbook, having some connections with the receivers and the guys on the team.
Both catching the eye of their starter.
That's the hallmark of what great quarterbacks are going to do, the great competitors are going to do, is take advantage of every rep. And so if you're not in, take advantage of the mental rep behind.
Saskatchewan did hold 4 quarterbacks on their roster last season and seem poised to do it again this year, but Mason Mueller keeping their cards close to their chest as if they would indeed follow through with that plan. Teams have until midnight Saturday to finalize their rosters. Donovan May, CTV News, Regina.
Coming up, why a Saskatchewan cat has been named after a Jays pitcher. Then the teen with the spelling title of the year.
Select Hair Service is brought to you by Sage, the beauty bar.
We've got another great night of entertainment coming up right here tonight on CTV starting at 7 with Celebrity Wheel of Fortune. All right, we have some news coming into our newsroom as we speak. We're hearing about a house fire in Warman. Not a lot of details known at this point, but we do know that one house is engulfed in flames and firefighters are actively working to knock the flames down. So that could be why we saw that black smoke
Most
on the
likely,
sky cam.
yeah.
So we will try to monitor those details and have them for you in the coming days. All right, a cat at the Moose Jaw Humane Society earning recognition after being named after a Toronto Blue Jays pitcher. This is Max Scherzer, named after the ball player because they both have heterochromia, a condition where irises are different colors. Scherzer, the pitcher, has a brown left eye, but his right eye is blue. Scherzer, the cat, also has one blue eye and one brown eye. The cat is up for adoption at the Moose Jaw Humane Society, in case you are interested. Staff says he is one of the sweetest, kindest, and most curious cats and enjoys keeping an eye on everything happening around him with both eyes, of course, but neat.
And I don't think until we had this cat story that I knew that Scherzer had, one blue eye and one brown eye.
There maybe he should adopt the cat. You never know.
Too far away.
All right. Well, a winner has been declared at the 2026 Scripps National Spelling Bee following an intense spell-off.
So your first word is Taroni.
T-O-R-O-N-E.
Enthymeme.
E-N-T-H-Y-M-E-M-E.
Iguape.
I-G-U-A-P.
Denebola.
D-N-E-B-O-L-A.
Feidodo.
F-A-S-D-O-D-O.
Coathai.
C-Y-W-Y-D-D-A-U.
14-year-old Shrey Parikh is the champion after 18 regular rounds, plus this breathless spell-off as a tiebreaker. He correctly spelled 32 extremely difficult words in 90 seconds and will take home more than $50,000 in prizes.
I found out earlier today that they get a list of words, 4,000 words they can study.
Wow. No big deal.
No big deal. No kidding. That's amazing stuff. Quick look at what we've got going on with our situation tomorrow. Early tomorrow morning, we have light winds overnight, and they pick up a little bit between 8 and 9, and then throughout the rest of the day, moderate winds out of the southeast and mainly cloudy skies. Mid-afternoon, about 28 degrees by 5 o'clock, 27 degrees. So another hot day, but not in the 30s.
Definitely.
Not in the 30s.
A little bit cooler.
A little bit cooler, and yes, who knows? We might see some rain. Yeah. You never know.
All right, earlier we talked about the 49th annual GSCS Olympics taking to the track at Edie Fee Catholic High School. 260 athletes with varying abilities coming from across central Saskatchewan. We will leave you with some of the highlights today. Be safe and have a great weekend.
Take care.